Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Tabmock99. With me is my buddy FatalKade.
Yeah.
And?
Hey, I'm Scott-Howell, MKO.
That's right. Both my Mortal Kombat Online buddies. So I am actually out of town. I'm hanging out with this guy right here at his place. We just saw the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie. Actually, more than once.
Yes.
But we saw it at the AMC Theater in IMAX. We went and we watched it again on HBO Max. So both ended in Max. Never really thought about that until I just said it out loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to get into it with the spoiler review. And the way I kind of want to do this is I sort of want to take it like one character at a time. You know, we just kind of go through blow by blow, exploring it, and we'll all kind of share what we liked, what we didn't like.
Yeah.
Where should we start? I guess the movie sort of opened up with the Scorpion versus Sub-Zero fight. So why don't we start with Scorpion?
I thought
the
Scorpion Sub-Zero fight was awesome. I really thought that was like really well done.
Yes.
You know, I mean that was just total, you know, just great choreography for the fighting. It was brutal.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when he stabs the guy in the head and the blood just pours out of the guy's mask, and it was so Mortal Kombat and gruesome and gory, and the blood was very well done in those fight scenes.
It really was,
especially
you know,
in the beginning.
And I really liked in that fight. I know I said I would start with Scorpion, but it's that same scene. We start with Sub-Zero, right?
Yeah.
He's got that ice coming out of his wrists, and the blood's coming out, and it's like, oh man, when he makes ice, it has to come out of his skin. That actually hurts him. That's actually painful, and he must have had like a lot of training and discipline so that he can suffer through it and act like it doesn't bother him. I kind of like that. It says a lot about his character and who Sub-Zero is, that he's willing to go through all that. What do you think?
I love Sub-Zero. I love how he wasn't in his, you know, at the beginning of the movie in his uniform or, you know, just it was Sub-Zero, just some normal clothing.
It was a neat take on the Lin Kuei.
Yeah,
you know, it was a different take. It was good.
Yeah, it's exactly how you would envision it back then, you know. So I thought that was very well done. And the blood, like, coming out of his knuckles when the ice is forming. And you could see, even in the actor's face, in Joe Taslim's face, like, it looked like he was in pain when he was doing it.
Yeah.
Right. No, he sold it. All the actors sold it. I think everybody was totally believable. And that's really important in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I know a lot of people will complain that, like, some of the lore was off or this didn't stick to the script or whatever.
Right.
But to me, the believability has to be there.
Oh,
and they all sold it. And the tone has to be there. And I think that movie had the right tone.
Oh, without a doubt.
All the way through.
Yeah.
Scorpion, you know, you could see that we don't really know the full extent of the feud between the Shirai Ryu and the Lin Kuei. And, Support Gaming said he likes my Fusion shirt.
Oh.
That's actually Aizen Pikachu. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Scorpion and Sub-Zero, that was like the main thing. That was like the main draw for the movie. There they are in the poster right up there.
Yeah.
But, it was just one of those things where we didn't see a whole lot about what Scorpion had done, like, as a ninja. We don't really know what kind of things he was doing. Obviously, we know they weren't very nice things. They weren't very good things.
Right.
But he had attracted the ire of the Lin Kuei, and they didn't want to just, destroy the Shirai Ryu. They wanted to exterminate his entire blood clan.
Yeah, the entire bloodline.
I mean, that's a blood feud right there.
Yeah.
And what was interesting to me was, in a lot of other adaptations, especially recent ones, they always kind of said, well, you know what, it really wasn't Sub-Zero, it was more Quan Chi's doing. They didn't put Quan Chi in here.
Now, they might be able to circle back and somehow tie that in, but I agree with you, it didn't seem like that at all.
No, this is not Quan Chi disguised as Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
This is Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero's the badass here. Right. Nobody is stealing his thunder, or stealing his ice, I guess we should say.
Right.
I like that. I like the Scorpion Sub-Zero feud here. I thought that was very well done.
Very well done. Yeah.
I like this kind of scar.
That was one of my favorite. Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was neat.
That was okay. So yeah, that was a great homage right there. That was like a great little hidden reference when Scorpion throws the spear, and then it misses, and then when he pulls it back, it hits him and slides across his face, not across the eye, but
under the eye. Yeah.
but really close to it.
He even kind of smiles.
He's like, oh yeah, like
it's like, I know what you were trying to do. Yeah, so I thought that was a great, like, hidden reference. I bet a lot of people missed that one.
Mm-hmm. Another cool thing is that in the very beginning, when Sub-Zero's talking to Hanzo's family, he's speaking in Japanese a little bit.
Yeah.
And they're able to understand him. But then when he talks to Hanzo, he's talking in straight Chinese.
Yeah.
And Hanzo has no idea what he's saying.
Right, and that's what's cool about it, is they subtitle it, he's speaking Chinese, and now he's speaking Japanese, so you get a sense of what's happening. There's even one line, he says, for the Lin Kuei in English.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little out of place. I don't know why he would speak English, but okay. Sub-Zero seems like he's very worldly. He's very well-traveled. He speaks at least 3 different languages, possibly more.
Highly intelligent, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I thought
And
it was...
Scorpion, on the other hand, is kind of like a country bumpkin. He lives out in the rural village. He's just... He looks like he's just sitting there minding his own business, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that it was great, too, the fact that, you know, you take in the fact that Sub-Zero could understand what Scorpion was saying in the beginning. You know, Bihan understood what Hanzo was saying. Hanzo didn't understand what Bihan was saying, and Bihan was still not giving him the respect of speaking in Japanese to him for him to understand it.
Cool.
But when Hanzo says, remember this face before he's killed, you know that Bihan understood that.
Yes, and when he says, remember this face, they circle back to that later. It's like, I told you to remember this face.
Yep.
Which, honestly, and this is, you know, the same 2 characters, different scene. Near the end of the movie, Scorpion, you know, he takes off his mask. He does his fatality, sets him on fire. His face kind of turns into a skull.
They did a really good job with that, though.
Of course. Yes.
I loved it.
I think I actually would have preferred, like in the original games, where it's just, he's a skeleton. But then the line, remember this face, wouldn't have worked.
But you also notice that when he fades out after all that's done and he kind of goes back to the Netherrealm or fades back out,
right?
He does kind of like turn into this skeleton face if you look at it.
It's brief. It's brief, yeah.
But it's very well done.
It's a morph. It's not like he is the skeleton. It's like he can kind of change back and forth.
Yeah. I dig it.
Yeah, all right. So then after that, we kind of get into the gym, right?
Yes. Which
the
word gym is spelled in Mortal Kombat font.
It's the Mortal Kombat font.
It's the Mortal Kombat font. I picked that up right when we watched the movie in IMAX. I was like, that's the Mortal Kombat.
You did. You picked it up, and then I picked up something else. I saw the Johnny Cage poster.
You did. I didn't
Citizen Cage.
Yeah.
You got the little spoiler teaser at the end, like right there.
They circled back to it. Yeah. I wonder how many people saw that the first time around. Like, oh yeah, there's the Citizen Cage.
You were like
poster.
nudging me on the shoulder. Look.
But then they didn't show it again. It's very brief, and if you miss it, that's it. They don't cut back to that.
Yeah.
So they set Cole up, right? He's the boxer. He's the family man. He's got the wife. He's got the girl. He's down on his luck. Doesn't have much money. He makes $200 a fight, and they tell him last minute, and he just shows up, and he does it. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't win.
No.
He's not a very good fighter.
He used to be.
He beat Eddie Tobias.
For the belt.
Man.
Yeah. Where do you think the name...
The mighty Eddie Tobias.
Where do you think the name Eddie Tobias came from?
Isn't he a famous UFC fighter in real life?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he is.
If anybody knows, just let us know.
Yeah, if you can figure out what they meant by Eddie Tobias, that's like the one little mystery we weren't able to figure out. Just saying that with a straight face.
Yeah, that was a great Easter egg.
Hey, can you bring the chat up? Because I'm kind of looking at my phone, but I'd rather just see it on the screen. You know how to do that?
Let me see here. Let's see if we can...
There it is.
There we go.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
All right, so I did not like Cole Young. Why did they add an OC into this movie? You know what? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's get right into it. I kind of want to do it like in the order that they were introduced, and Cole Young is the character we're on now. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into that.
Yeah.
If I may, I'd like to go first on this one.
Go for it.
All right. I think there's nothing wrong with adding a new character, right? Like Art Lean or you know, you need characters who are going to be new to the story and carry it along. But honest to God, I think they pushed it too far. I don't think you can shoehorn him in this way and make him the new main. I don't think you can make him the main character of the movie like that. Look, and they gave him like really a lot of prominent scenes that he stole, and I don't think you can do that and have the fans like that. So what they did with D'Vorah, it's the same mistake.
Yeah. They
have D'Vorah killing off Mileena, they have D'Vorah killing off Hanzo.
I can
so people hate her.
Yeah.
They took Cole, which I think is, look, you know, Louis Tan, great guy.
Yeah.
Great acting, great character, everything. Mm-hmm. But you can't just take him and say he's going to get involved in the Scorpion and Sub-Zero feud, and the movie's going to sort of revolve around him, and he's going to be the one who kills Goro. It's like, okay, guys, tone it down because people are going to resent him a little bit.
Here's a couple things. I disagree with you on that, and the reason I liked Cole Turner. Or Cole Young. I said Cole Turner. Oh, God. No. The reason I liked Cole Young, and the reason I thought that it was a great character and Louis Tan was great for the role, is you're talking about the casual fan who doesn't know the lore like me, you, or like a lot of the people watching our YouTube channel.
Wait, I think everybody watching our YouTube channel knows it.
Well,
a lot.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, the people on our YouTube channel are the knowledgeable ones, but the people who aren't here are the ones that aren't as knowledgeable about MK.
They are Cole Young.
Yeah.
So the non-Mortal Kombat fans.
So I like how the movie took Cole Young, and he's kind of representing the audience. Yeah. Like your dad who might not know what Scorpion's all about, or, you know, any of this other stuff. And I think that, yeah, maybe it was a little awkward to have him kill Goro, but I'm going to tell you, it was kind of cool to see Goro rip the side of a truck door off and peek inside and start beating the crap.
I never knew I wanted that, but...
But you kind of did when you saw it. You're like, this is kind of cool. Okay, I can roll with it. So there were some really good moments there, and it's not like...
That was... Okay, look, that's a cool scene. Goro in you know, on Earthrealm. Yes. Our world... Coming here, smashing stuff up.
Yes.
It is fun to see.
It is very fun.
You love to see it.
You do.
You love to see it. But that doesn't mean
yeah.
that Cole Young is awesome. They could have done that with anybody. He could have smashed up Sonya's place. He could have smashed up Johnny Cage's place had he been in the film. You didn't need Cole Young for that. But that was a cool scene. I'll give you points on that one.
Yeah, I think Cole represented every person in the audience. The person that doesn't really know what's going on. And I really loved it when they did some fun stuff with Cole.
All right, I want to know from you, Scott. What did you think about the whole Cole? Honest thoughts. Yeah.
I'm between you guys on it. I don't know where I sit on it. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We saw the movie yesterday. Mm-hmm. We could have done a stream immediately afterwards with our initial impressions, but I kind of wanted to marinate on it. I kind of wanted to let us stew in it a little bit and really process everything. We saw the film a second time. I think I've had a chance to kind of work through and see where I stand on it. You know, at the time... you know, because initially I was just blown away by the movie. I love it, but then after I think about it a little bit more, it's like, well, you know, I'm not saying he's like the Jar Jar Binks of the Mortal Kombat film, but there were fans who like digitally removed Star Wars, digitally removed Jar Jar from Episode 1, and made like a Jar Jar free version of the Phantom Menace. I'm not saying we need to go to that lengths, but maybe a director's cut where Cole Young would have a less prominent role, I think probably would be more well received.
I don't know. I think that when you do these kind of movies, right? Like you're trying to maximize and attract the most audience as possible. And if you go in with a lore-heavy movie, yeah, I mean, your lore-heavy fans are going to love it, but people that don't understand what this is all about are going to get lost super quick. And, you know, it's not like Greg Russo doesn't know his lore. He puts some really deep lore moments in there.
He does.
That nobody else would understand unless you're probably somebody as crazy as Tabmock99 into this.
I caught it. You know, he put some deep cut lore references.
He did a phenomenal job.
Name of Reptile.
So if anybody thinks that Greg Russo doesn't know his stuff, he does. And then some.
At least he looked it up.
Yeah.
At least he did his homework.
He definitely did his homework on a lot of stuff, man. He crushed this movie. I was a fan of this movie. I thought it was a great film. I thought it was a new take. I think you can't keep taking the story of Mortal Kombat and telling it word for word for word. I think you got to get creative.
You got to mix it up a little bit. You got to keep it fresh. I agree on those points. I think the important thing is that they have the right tone, and I think this movie set a great tone. I think they nailed that aspect of it. Let's move on to the next scene. What would you say? What do you want to cover after Cole? Because you know, Cole kind of leads into the special forces, right?
Yeah.
Jax comes along. He asks him about his dragon mark, and you know, maybe the first time you watch it, you don't really catch it, but the second time, it's like, oh, okay, he's thinking that Cole Young might be a suspect. He's asking him, "How'd you get that mark?"
Yeah.
And he's basically asking, you know, who did you kill to get that?
Right.
It just assumes.
No, when you're watching the movie for the first time, that's not really clear. When you watch it the second time, it's like, oh, that's what he was thinking. Yeah. And then when he says, oh, it was a birthmark.
Well, his daughter said that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When she says it was a birthmark, he's like, what? He's like, yeah, he was born with it. It's
he
like
was genuinely taken aback.
He's like,
that.
Really? Yeah, he was.
Because he's like, all of us pretty much got ours from killing other people.
Right. He's the only one they know that had it since birth.
So he's one of the OG chosen ones.
Exactly. So it definitely threw Jax for a loop. So Jax's job is to kind of take Cole back to Sonya, and I think Sonya is probably. I'm getting ahead here. Someone says Kano's his favorite character.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you.
Kano was good.
You know what? That's, again, Asian Pikachu. Okay, Asian Pikachu, I 100% agree. Kano stole the scene. Every scene he was in, it was his. But I will say that Sonya was also really, really good. What do you think about Sonya?
I thought she was great.
She's tough, right?
I think she was one of the better.
She's believable as a
actors
fighter
in the movie too.
And there was some good acting. I mean,
one
but
of my favorites.
she looks like Carrie Hoskins.
she has the
MK3.
look
Yeah.
she has the look she nailed it right
Yeah.
right so when they get to Sonya when he gets to Sonya, unfortunately he got separated from Jax. Jax was fighting with Sub-Zero, and this was interesting. Sonya says that they had a target, right? And Jax says that it seemed like they had fought in Brazil. From watching the trailer, the impression that I got was that he was actually fighting Sub-Zero in Brazil. Now you see that's not the case.
Right.
They never encountered Sub-Zero before. When Sub-Zero showed up, they were like, what? And they had to drive the hell away from him. They had never encountered him.
Yeah.
So there was a target in Brazil. They don't really get into it. We don't know who it was. We don't know what happened.
Somebody that looked human that had superhuman abilities.
Yeah. And
Could
now,
it have been Cabal?
see, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it might have been Cabal. And the reason I say that is because if you watch that scene, they say that he beat them all within seconds, right? Like he had super speed. That's the implication.
That's what it sounds like. He tore through our unit within seconds. Who can do that? Cabal.
Cabal could. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe it was him. They didn't really get into Cabal's backstory. Obviously, something happened. Cabal's lore, now we're getting ahead, but it kind of matches the scene who we're talking about here. Cabal's lore is totally different from how it is in the games. Something happened to give him his accident, but it wasn't Shao Kahn's MK3 invasion.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. So, whatever it was, I don't know.
Well, he said Kano's the reason that he's a walking metal lung. And who does Sonya and Jax hunt?
The
in
Black
game
Dragon.
story?
The Black
Black
Dragon.
Dragon.
So, Kano and Cabal, it kind of makes sense.
So I think that the one who had superhuman abilities was Cabal.
I do want to give a shout out to Outworld, because he's saying Jax got the mark from that fugitive after Jax killed him. Right? Yes, Jax killed him, or at least Sonya thinks Jax killed him. I have a theory. You know, I'm not saying this is set in stone, but I have a theory, Outworld. I think that he maybe did get close to death.
Yes.
I think he did pummel Cabal pretty bad, and I think that was enough to transfer the mark. In fact, maybe Cabal was clinically dead. You know, because you can actually survive for up to like 3 minutes without oxygen before permanent brain damage sets in. Maybe even 6 minutes, but that would be pushing it.
But maybe he clinically died, and then he got all those things.
And
put
then was
into
later
him.
revived.
Right.
That's his story. He kind of gets revived, and now
see that.
he blames Kano. What did Kano do? Tell Cabal, meet me here, and then he set him up to get captured by special forces. Now he blames Kano. They have bad blood between them.
Yeah.
I have a theory that it could be Cabal, even though Jack said that, Outworld. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, Kano didn't screw up Cabal per se. He said Kano is the reason why. Now, that doesn't mean that Kano beat Cabal up. That could mean Kano set Cabal up to get messed over by Jax and the Special Forces.
Yeah.
So...
Right. Now, then the question is, if the dragon left Cabal, then why would he still have super speed? So,
Right.
you know, little iffy there. Maybe that theory isn't as solid as I thought.
I mean, he's working for Shang Tsung. Shang Tsung can give him his powers back. He's a sorcerer.
Yeah, maybe.
That-
Maybe Shang Tsung, maybe because he'd already had a taste of those powers.
Yeah, Shang
you know?
Tsung, since he already unlocked his arcana once, Shang Tsung was like, oh, well, here, I'll just make sure you have it. But you think Shang Tsung can't do that? Come on. Man.
No, you know what? In fact, I know from watching other TV shows about speedsters that if you lose your superpowers because you're not connected to the speed force, you can also now connect to the negative speed force. So there's always a way.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
always a way. And
So it could
yeah.
still be Cabal.
Oh, yeah.
Where do you think Kano got his mark from?
He killed somebody.
He did.
They were tracking the other warrior to try to get them to join their team, and then she said Kano, like, slit his throat.
Which is a great reference. Kano says, you should have been more punctual.
Which was a reference to the first movie.
I love punctuality in a woman. I just thought that was so cool.
That was
And, you know, speaking of, like, deep cut references, I'm sure a lot of fans caught that one. But Kano later tells Sonya, like, when she won't kill him, right? Because, like, hey, you want the mark so bad, kill me for it.
Damn,
She's like,
sir.
nah.
Oh.
He's like, you don't have the mongrel in you. I think that was a reference to Mongrel, which is a comic that the original Kano actor had been in. Rich DeVizio was the model for Mongrel. And now here he is saying you don't have the mongrel in you.
That could be a really deep cut reference.
That is such an obscure word. I want to say it's a coincidence, but something tells me it's probably more than coincidence.
Yeah, coming from Kano, and you don't have the mongrel. Like,
Yeah.
Of all words.
Of all the words he could have picked, he just happened to land on that one?
Yeah, and I mean, especially with how deep cut the lore is, I find it hard to believe that Greg Russo didn't know about the mongrel comics. You know?
Yeah.
'Cause-
I think
yeah.
he's probably done some research and saw him. So someone else asked a question. What do you think about do you think about Sonya throwing that knife into Kano's leg on purpose?
I thought it was great.
Do you think it was on purpose?
I think it was
calculated risk.
I think it was a calculated risk where the calculations didn't go very well in Kano's favor, but she just kind of YOLO yeeted the knife anyway.
You know, you're throwing a knife.
I'll go with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Look,
yeah.
they can't see. Oh, so let's back up a little bit. Reptile, okay?
Yeah.
They didn't call him Reptile. They called him by his real name, Sizoff. I thought that was a crazy, crazy deep cut reference.
That was
you.
awesome.
It's one of those things. And he says, just for the fans who don't know, he says, send the reptilian Sizoff. It's like, oh, the reptilian. A lot of people were watching this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer saying, I don't think it's Reptile. I think it's one of Shang Tsung's or Shao Kahn's monsters or something.
It absolutely was.
Turns
That
out
was
it's
the
100% reptile. Not some random raptor saurian, and not Kombat. It's Sizoff. It's the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I definitely want to say that they did good with that one. There is a missed opportunity though.
Mm-hmm.
All right, all these guys are in a room together, and there's an invisible monster after them. It's scary. They needed to have at least one person say, "How are we going to beat this hidden fighter?"
Right.
It's a hidden fighter. Come on, he's hidden and he's fighting them.
I felt Kano kind of took charge in that regard.
Kano's badass.
I mean, he didn't
dude.
like spell it out word for word. But
Yeah.
like, I felt like he was the one that kind of figured it out.
Kano was awesome in every scene that he was in. Now look, Kano often gets painted as this like dumb idiot guy.
Yeah.
But did you see how when like Reptile's acid was leaking from above, he took his handcuffs, held them out, let the acid set him free, and
Well,
he
this
broke
guy-
free.
This
He's
guy's
no
the head of
idiot in
the
this
yeah.
movie,
He's the leader of the Black Dragon. Even in the games and the comics, he's the
Yeah.
leader of the Black Dragon. If you're going to lead a dangerous organization that is being actively hunted by the Special Forces and constantly get away, you're not an idiot. You're not a moron. You're highly intelligent to some degree. Kano's very street smart. Outside of street smarts, I might question his ability to reason in some things, but
I'm
he's
not saying the
stupid.
guy has
felt
his
like he
master's
made-
degree, but
Yeah.
I
he's
felt like he was far more intelligent in this movie than the 1995.
Yes.
I felt like they went with the whole he's kind of a...
they kind of made him like a dummy, like
Dummy,
a goon before, and
Yeah.
here he
Yeah.
knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He's a quick thinker. He's always thinking. You
Yeah.
could tell. You could tell. I loved it. So definitely we've got that was the Kano and Sonya and Reptile scene. It was awesome, right? Okay, so they beat Reptile. What happens next?
They end up getting on a plane that Kano sets up for them
Yes,
with some of his, I would guess, Black Dragon connections.
probably.
Mhm.
Yeah, we looked up the actress who played the pilot too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember her name, so maybe I shouldn't say it. I think it was Katie McQuaid. Does that sound right? Oh, I have to look later.
Okay.
You can look in the
Yeah,
credits
it's
and you can
close.
see she's a seasoned actress.
Okay.
I didn't know who his pilot friend was going to be. I thought maybe it was going to be another Mortal Kombat character.
She
but-
had the same accent.
Yeah, she's Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some sort of...
Well, I have a feeling that like Australia, if you film there, they're going to want you to use some Australian actors. So I think their job is like
I
to
see what
find a
you're
way to make it work.
Yeah.
You know, but she was good, and you know what? It makes sense. Kano's already Australian. Use him.
Yeah.
He's got connections. He's got people with playing. They're going to be Australian too. Makes sense. It's logical. It fits the movie.
Yes, it does.
You know, it doesn't feel like it's shoehorned in there like Cole Young. But it was good. It was good. So
You know what? I'm going to defend Cole Young to the end. I think he was a fresh addition. I think this was a fresh take on a franchise that needs a fresh take. Do I think it's canon with the games? No. Do I think it needs to be? No. If you and speaking of canon with the games, I just want to put this out there to everybody. Look at the storyline for MK11. Look at Chronica. How many alternate timelines in the Mortal Kombat universe did we see in the story?
she resets a lot.
A lot of
She
alternate
resets the timeline.
timelines.
Yeah.
So in alternate timelines, there could be a timeline where Johnny Cage is dead. There could be a timeline where Johnny Cage maybe works for the Red Dragon, which you see that stuff in Combat League. We saw a Red Dragon skin for Johnny Cage. Nobody threw up their hands in a fit over that. So why would you throw up your hands in a fit in an alternate universe? The writer himself said this is an alternate kind of universe for Mortal Kombat. Why'd you throw your arms up?
Well, let's back up. Let's back up a little bit.
I'm just saying.
Support Gaming 2020. He raises a good point. Mm-hmm. He says, "Can you bring up the Easter egg and references in the movie, like the paintings of Delia, Argus, the painting of the Great Kung Lao?" Look, okay, so these are kind of two different scenes. Like,
Sure.
we're about to get into the desert one, which I really want to talk about. But let's back up. Let's talk about these things. Okay, I loved it. If you look at Sonya's kind of conspiracy theory board, the Wall of Weird, I like to call it. She's got lots of cool stuff hanging up there. If you pause it and read it, you can see some stuff about the Matoka tribe. You can see some stuff about a shaman. Is that Nightwolf? Is that just another random person? whatever. She's talking about how all these different cultures kind of seem to know what's going on.
Right.
So that when I saw that in the trailer, I'm like, oh, come on, every different culture. But then they showed that, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. And then they showed the Aztec one. You know, there's a group of Aztecs that are worshiping Kotal Khan as a god. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. There are all these other cultures that are in on this now. That's not something they just made up for the film. There's really a lot of stuff to work with that.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then, all right, and then let's get through the desert scene. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they land in the desert. I always think of Spaceballs, where you've got like Lone Star, Barf,
Oh my.
God.
Dot Matrix. Okay, and Princess Vespa. They're all walking through the desert. They're all exhausted, and they're like, water, oil, room service.
Come on.
Kano's the one who needs a break. Well, he does. And they're fighting over the GPS. You know, it's so funny. Like, I didn't think you'd need a standard GPS unit. I thought everybody has cell phones now.
Yeah.
But, all right. They take it from him. They get to where they're going. They want to go to Raiden's temple, right? Sonya said she was going to pay him $3 million.
Yeah.
At first it was 2. Kano talks up to 3. She doesn't have it.
Yeah.
And then this is the cool part. She's in Gary, Indiana.
Which is like 15 minutes from here.
Okay, the theater that we saw it in,
By the way.
the movie theater that we went to was actually nearby Gary, Indiana. So
Which was about 10 minutes from Gary.
when they mentioned it, everybody in the theater cracked up laughing.
Yes.
Because they knew what that meant. They
Yes.
knew that meant it was a very low income neighborhood.
Yes.
Not the kind of person who's going to have millions of dollars.
Right.
And yet, it's still plausible that someone who works for the U.S. Special Forces might have connections to where if they're going to do something that saves the country, saves the world, whatever, maybe they could get him access to $2 million account and have it forwarded to Kano. So, you know, she better do it or he's going to kill her. And he didn't want 2, he wanted 3.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was funny. And Kano, the characterization, it's definitely based on the MK movie. But it's better. It's more than. It's based on the original 1995 Kano because he's Australian. That kind of started it.
Right.
But they did even better. He's still in it for himself. He's still in it for the money. This is still Kano, except he's way funnier and he's way better. He steals every scene that he's in. It's awesome.
He had so many great one-liners that, I mean, you could just make like a Kano supercut of just all of his lines, and it would just, I mean, it's brilliant.
Well, that'll be your job, and if you do it, I'll go ahead and link to it in this video.
Yeah, I might have to do that. We might have to have a Kano supercut, guys.
So he definitely wants to go to Raiden's temple, right? All the guys want to go to Raiden's temple, and the funny thing is, Kano's going to go there anyway. You fucking idiot.
Do you need directions there? Okay, make sure you grab a pen. Go fuck yourself.
She literally goes and reaches for a pen.
She's like, oh yeah, hang on a minute. He's like,
faked you out.
He's like, write this down. Go fuck yourself.
I will say this. I told you this yesterday, but I thought they might have leaned a little bit too hard into the comedy with him.
You can never lean.
Here's the thing.
You can never lean too hard into comedy.
All his jokes were hilarious.
Can never lean too hard into it.
And I laughed at every single one.
I think the whole audience.
I mean,
was
they were funny. I'm not
cracking
discrediting that,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was like every 5 seconds, joke after joke after joke.
Yeah.
Did he need to have that many?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. No, I loved it. Don't take it away from me. Don't take my comedy away from me.
Yeah, I think that was perfect because Mortal Kombat, the games, has always had this dark humor.
You're right.
And I think Josh Lawson just like crushed
And you know, Mortal Kombat has always had it. And the great part about it is it doesn't feel repetitive.
No.
It doesn't. Okay, so like someone was talking about this scene earlier, but it is my favorite. After they get to the temple and they're doing like practicing and trying to build up their skills, the foot sweep scene.
Oh my gosh, that was great.
That was great. That was a real callback to the arcade days. If you guys are our age,
people would play like this.
People would play MK1 and MK2 like this, and I'm not kidding you. They would literally just go up and once they got one sweep, they would just keep sweeping.
You can win like that.
You could win very easily because it was so hard to get out of that.
The person
knows that better than anybody.
The person doesn't think about just duck blocking.
Yeah.
So I loved it. It was a great callback, and you know, you honestly can't make a movie where someone just foot sweeps, and the other one falls down. It's like that doesn't work in a movie.
Yeah.
But with comedy, it does.
It
you
was
see?
perfect.
You see?
Yeah.
Huh?
Is that the only movie you know, mate? And he does it again. He's like, jumps up and then bam, gets caught. That was just so perfect. I love that. That was definitely a great scene.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I love it too how Kano like jumped above one and he thought he had him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then how about the scene where they were all at dinner, right? and they were all the Liu Kang and Kung Lao.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Lao's entrance was amazing when he first showed up.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was top
dope.
tier entrance for Kung Lao.
Dude, Kung Lao's entrance was amazing, but I even liked the dinner scene where they're all kind of like mocking Kano and teasing him. One of them calls him a dog. Kung Lao calls him a dog, and then Liu Kang calls him a bunny.
Soft and useless.
Soft and useless bunny. All right,
I
so
love the look Kano gave him when he called him the bunny.
That was like the thing that
was
pushed
like-
him over the edge, like right there.
that crossed the line.
and I knew what they were doing. I knew they were trying to push him and trying to motivate him to get him to release his
Yeah.
superpower. And I loved Kano's description of it. It's like, oh, we're gonna get superpowers.
Yeah.
How does it work? Is it like a box of chocolates? You never know what you're gonna get. It's like a Forrest Gump reference.
Yeah. It was well done.
Okay, so the Forrest Gump reference I thought was great, but you caught on to a reference earlier, and we almost skipped past it. So let's go back to the plane.
The plane. So
You saw a reference.
I saw what I consider to be a reference. I don't know. Only Greg Russo would be able to confirm or deny this as a reference. But if you watch Deadpool 2, Louis Tan is in Deadpool 2. He plays as, I forget the character's name, but he's in it for a brief moment. And when Deadpool's like recruiting all the superheroes to come on and work with him, Louis Tan is one of those guys. He's got like this crazy hairdo, and he looked like he's the one guy that actually looks like a legit badass superhero. And you know, when they're in the plane scene in Deadpool, he's like, "Oh yeah, your first time." Then he like, pushes the guy off or something. Something similar to that happened. I remember in Deadpool 2.
So that's the same actor. This is your first time.
Yeah, and then in this movie, he's about to jump off, and Sonya's like, "Oh yeah, your first time," and then Kano pushes him right off, and that just made me think: is that a Deadpool 2 kind of like reference right there to poke at Louis Tan?
And you said that
2?
right away, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't have caught it. And I remember we had been to C2E2 together, and we had posed with that Deadpool thing, so I was definitely hyped about Deadpool, and I knew that was one of your favorite things.
Yes, I love Deadpool.
I would have missed that, so I'm really glad you showed me that.
Yeah.
Look, all right, two things now, because look at this chat. You guys are awesome in the chat. So many of you guys are awesome, but let me just point out, too. Badlands Chugs fan account 69 says, someone pointed out on Twitter that when Kano drinks the beer, it's the same beer that Jax drinks in MK11 story mode.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Deep cut reference. How many people would have known that?
Okay,
Not me.
I did not pick that up. Like, that's why this is going to be, like, fun to watch 100 times over, because you're going to pick up references. Another thing that I did see is in the fight scene with Jax and Sub-Zero, when they're, like, shooting that side shot in the very start of the movie, and Jax has the gun, you actually see a button combo on the wall behind them.
I saw that one, too. And then look at Spencer Person, because now we're kind of talking about Liu Kang a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's Jade's Desert that they were in earlier, because there was quicksand. But anyway, Spencer says, when did Liu Kang become so wimpy? His character and Goro weren't done well. I liked Goro, but Liu Kang, I told you this earlier, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
I kind of said, I felt that Liu Kang didn't project confidence. He seemed like he had a lot of nervous energy. He could win fights, and he had the skills, but he didn't seem to like to use them.
Let's take a look at, again, from the lore. Let's go to the lore of the games. This is before the first tournament, right? So Liu Kang, even in the first movie, 1995 movie, when Liu Kang was in the tournament, he was angry, but he didn't project a whole lot of confidence. He was very, like, questioning himself, and everyone was constantly telling Liu Kang in the movie, believe in yourself, right? So he had to go through this whole build-up during the tournament part of the movie to get where he is. Liu Kang is a Shaolin monk. He's very pacifist. He's very calm, cool, very peaceful, collected. I think they did Liu Kang well. I think they nailed him on the head before the tournament. I wouldn't be surprised in the sequel if you see Liu Kang come out and really start to gain his confidence again. And I think that Liu Kang might be a character that they focus more around. I think Johnny Cage will have a big role as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if they toned back Louis Tan a little bit more, but I think it was important for them while they're building this setup. Because keep in mind, they're building this for several movies. Like, that's the idea. That's their hopes. They want to have several movies. So this is a building block. So you if you're going to do a new character like Louis Tan to be the entry for the audience, you want that character to be very known. You want to understand his origin, understand where he comes from, understand a lot about him. So for me, it makes sense to focus on Cole as much as they did in this film. I don't think they're going to push that as hard in the sequel. I personally don't think they will. I think they're going to focus more on the other characters. But in this movie, I think it was just kind of an entry-level thing. Let's get to know this character. Let's kind of push him to the forefront for this one so you understand it. And then the sequels we'll be able to build off of this.
don't
But
disagree.
I want to circle back. I want to circle back to something you mentioned about Liu Kang in the old movie, where I think Liu Kang was confident in the old movie. I think he would tell people like, "Look, I'm going there with or without your consent."
Yes,
but people were telling him, "You're not ready. You're not ready." He needed to build his skills. He had the confidence. He was ready to take action.
But you're looking at two different things.
I am looking at two different things. Two different versions of Liu Kang.
Because that version of Liu Kang lost a brother. He lost his little brother, and he was angry, and, and granted, and again, spoilers. I think everyone knows this spoilers. But when Kung Lao was killed, you kind of saw Liu Kang kind of shift a little bit. And they didn't really get to focus on that a whole lot because so much was going on. But like I said, don't be surprised in the sequel if Liu Kang doesn't really start to get more angry.
You picked up on a change in Liu Kang.
Aggressive, because at first he's kind of shocked and sad. I lost my brother. We were supposed to die together. And, but you saw him really take that rage out on Cabal. Yeah. You really saw that pacifist Liu Kang kind of go away in that fight. But you didn't really see
that fatality for it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So I mean, you saw that like I'm mad, and I think that you'll see a more confident Liu Kang in the sequel.
Well, let's talk about some of the fights that have happened along the way because we kind of jumped ahead with the death of Kung Lao there. Yeah, Shang Tsung stole his soul.
Yes.
Shang Tsung I thought was a very imposing villain, but I think it was you, Scott. You kind of pointed this out to me.
Oh yeah, he never morphed.
He didn't do a single morph. It's like,
not one.
No one even called him a shapeshifter.
I did like that, like they used the green effects because that's very.
Oh yeah. I liked it.
But I was disappointed we didn't see him morph.
There wasn't any more. So when you watch
he was like MK. Which game did he not morph? Was it MK9?
That's one way they could have maybe
MK
gone.
The Alliance, he didn't morph.
Yeah,
that's one way they maybe could have gone with trying to break Raiden's force field is have him morph into one of the Earthrealm fighters. And try to.
Oh yeah, see, that could have been a fun scene.
That could have been an interesting scene.
They should have talked to us. We had a couple cool ideas.
But you know what? At the same time, I don't dislike the way they went with it because you got to see a little more Cabal, and who doesn't like some Cabal screen time? I mean, Cabal was just awesome.
Well, let's talk about some of the trophies they had in the cave.
Yes.
Remember Kano stealing Shinnok's amulet?
Yes. Put that back.
Yeah, put it back. and Scott, you also pointed this out too.
The amulet?
Yeah, he never put it back.
Oh, yeah,
we never saw him put it back.
We never saw it.
We're pretty sure he probably did. I'm pretty sure Liu Kang wouldn't.
I love the way he explained it. He's like, everybody is going to take away they're going to ravage you completely. Now put that back.
Yeah.
I was like, he snuck that in there. Put what back?
Put what back?
That was great.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing that they had in the background was Katana's fan.
Yes.
You think that was a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it was a good idea. I think it was a nod for a lot of hardcore fans of a character to see a little nudge.
Doesn't that mean that Katana must have lost a fight?
No, that could mean a multitude of things. Raiden might just have things to honor certain warriors, or might just have certain items there.
Everybody has a spare fan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good question.
When it gets too hot out.
But you got to keep in mind, they're trying to put all this stuff into a 2-hour movie, and you have a very limited amount of time to be able to do that. Right? And so with that time, you have to use it the best you can. But I like the idea that they put those little nods in there towards those characters. So fans, pun intended, of those characters can sit there and say, oh, look, there's a reference to my character they're not completely forgotten about. There's a chance they might make an appearance in the sequel.
Well, us lore fans are very happy to see Shinnok's amulet there because, Shinnok's amulet is housed in a Shaolin temple. That is the official lore.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going somewhere different with it. Mythologies is never happening in this universe. But that's okay. Shinnok's amulet still ended up in the right place. That's kind of cool. Katana's fan, there could be a reasonable explanation how it ended up. What'd you think about Outworld, the set? The realm, not Outworld in the chat.
I love him.
That's probably my harshest critique is Outworld because I think they just needed to make it a little bit more purple.
I think it was,
a little bit more purple.
It was a little different, but I'll be honest. I like the fact that Outworld didn't just look like a normal, regular realm on Earth like they started to do with an MKX.
Right.
I like the fact that Outworld still looked different. You could tell you were somewhere you shouldn't be. In fact,
yes,
I kind of had flashbacks. You're sighing like in exasperation.
Well, no, go ahead.
But wait. I had flashbacks to MK Deception's Conquest mode. I really kind of felt like we were playing MK Deception and we were exploring Outworld and we were roaming around. It really seemed like the way the platforms were on it kind of reminded me when you first enter the realm through the portal.
Yes.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
Well, somebody we were talking to last night made a point that there's just a lot of walking around in Outworld. It's like, like there's like nothing to do. They're just walking from place to place. Like, where are they going? Where do they?
We
go?
didn't see a whole lot of like the nitty gritty of Outworld. We saw a couple cool statues.
Yeah.
We saw some cool architecture.
I love the Shao Kahn statue.
Like when they first cut to Outworld and they're on that like big bridge. That's some really cool architecture. That was very well done.
Yeah. I mean, it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, Outworld is this barren place because Shao Kahn has destroyed it, ravaged
a coffee shop or something.
the land. Yeah, there's not going to really be a coffee shop in Outworld. I mean, what are you going to have? Like a knock-nada, like the collector sitting there? That'll be 50 cents.
Well, they do serve... they do have rice wine in Outworld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, Bo' Rai Cho will tell you that. In fact, they even name-dropped Bo' Rai Cho, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They kept him in as he's the guy that trained Liu Kang. So I love that.
Oh,
all right,
gosh.
so they showed Outworld, they showed the bad guys, they showed Shang Tsung, they showed his fighters,
Yes.
kind of his champions, I guess you would say, that he brought with them. All right, so we saw Reiko. He didn't have a single speaking line, I think, but that kind of suited his character.
Yeah, Reiko doesn't need to talk. He's a bronze, like a brawn kind of character, and the actor did a great job with just facial expression alone. He was there. He looked intimidating. He looked pretty hardcore.
I didn't like Rico.
Oh, okay.
I mean, they went with.
I didn't.
I feel like they
You were
went
probably
with
happy
the,
when Jax killed him then.
Yeah.
I mean,
He did nothing for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's better than having Reiko come in and take Shao Kahn's mask.
Again, he had the hammer. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, Reiko was huge in
was-
this movie,
he
which
was.
is crazy because normally when you think of Reiko, you compare him to Shao Kahn. He's like, he was supposed to be Shao Kahn reincarnated into a smaller, weaker body.
That
but
was
now
the
original idea.
Yeah.
Now he's more like a smaller kind of wannabe Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
But he's not supposed to have that Shao Kahn frame, which I feel like this Reiko was huge and buffed.
Yeah.
But again, he kind of pulled it off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, they also showed some more. They showed Mileena. What do you think about that?
I thought Mileena was great.
She used her weapons.
She did. She showed her teeth. Like her teeth.
Her teeth eventually got to where they are, like in the game.
I like how they built up to the teeth thing.
Yeah, they
Like,
did.
They didn't just have her walk around with all these teeth. Like when she gets mad and she's like, "I'm going to kill you," kind of like when Scorpion pulls the mask off. Like they built that right up to the character. I thought that
They
was
kind of
so
Hulk out a
well
little
done.
bit, right? Like
Yeah.
they can't control their temper, so their superpowers sort of get out of
They
control.
get like enhanced. Yeah,
That is kind of neat.
Mhm.
All right, what do you think about Nitara?
Nitara, I thought was cool.
It was surprising.
She didn't have a whole lot of screen time, but she was cool.
They said that they liked to hear her screech, but then she didn't really.
She screeched a little bit.
Little
You'll have
bit.
to watch it again on HBO Max. But yeah, she did. She made
Sinzel is really the big screecher.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think Nitara looked very good. I liked the look. I thought that the actress was a great fit.
I loved the fatality scene for her.
I would have loved for
Kung
her to
Lao,
have
the
a
way
couple
he-
lines, but you know.
You know, in the original games, Nitara was like an interesting character.
Yeah.
She wasn't totally bad. She wasn't totally good. She honored her promises.
Mm-hmm.
She did kind of kidnap people, but she also like promised to restore them and send them on their way when she was done with them, and she did. She kept her word.
Yeah.
And it was like, look, I need your help fixing this portal. I know you can't do anything, but you get this crystal thing. You get this orb that I need, and I'll use my crystal and send you back where you came from.
Yeah.
She's a polite villain.
Yeah. Now here she was kind of like serving Shang Tsung.
Yeah.
Just one of the grunts.
Well, I mean,
I know they
Yeah.
kind of have to oversimplify a little bit.
a little bit, but I think that, like I said, a couple things I would have liked to see from Nitara was maybe a one of her special moves from the game besides the flying. I think maybe if she would have just at least gotten a good bite, like a chunk out of Kung Lao's neck or something would have been cool, or you got to see some kind of special move from the game Deadly Alliance would have been nice.
Yeah.
But you know, I get it. I mean,
The bad guys are there to be killed by the
Yeah.
good guys. We know that.
and boy, was she fatality and probably one of the greatest fatalities out there. I mean, it was
Kung Lao
so
had it,
well
man.
done.
She didn't get any. Her and Rico didn't get any character posters. Did
No,
they?
no.
No. Mileena got one.
Mileena got
Nitara,
one.
no.
But yeah, I mean, it's a cool nod for people that. I mean, you got to keep in mind, Tara's in what, 2 games?
Yeah.
She was
Deadly
in
Alliance.
Deadly Alliance and Armageddon.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and let's be honest, guys. How much character did anybody have in Armageddon? Remember, we had to go online
Just those
to read
online
the
bios. Yeah, those online bios showed character.
We're throwing shade at old Midway right now, but
The
seriously,
Conquest mode showed a lot of character
Yeah.
too for those who made it in.
I mean, the old school Mortal Kombat fans, we've been through some pretty bad Mortal Kombat stuff. Armageddon, probably one of the worst MK entries. Special Forces also up there. Not the original Special Forces, but the remade kind of quick pushed
Well,
out.
you know,
one
Mortal
that everyone
Kombat has
got.
had its ups and downs, but I feel like this is one of the ups. I feel like this movie, on the whole, is good. I feel like the tone is right, the characters are right.
The characters are well done.
You know, we wanted to talk about all the cool scenes and all the cool stuff. I mean, honestly, this is where I think you and I think I'm the odd man out here. I think you two kind of have a different understanding than me. But near the end of the film, you know, they're like, okay, Cole says we're tired of getting pushed around. They just killed Kung Lao. Okay, we need to regroup. They don't want to have a tournament. Let's go and do that. Let's go and take it to them. To me, this was the tournament playing out. Everything that he said after that and all the fight scenes that followed, that, to me, is the tournament happening. But I think you guys don't believe that, so let me hear what you think.
Raiden wanted to find new fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, at the end of the...
So you think all those fights didn't count as a tournament? Because he's still looking for new fighters.
It was a conflict outside of the tournament.
You think it was an out... Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that wasn't the tournament.
You don't think it was a tournament?
No, not at all. I think that was a conflict
I didn't see a bracket
before.
system anywhere.
No.
You never did. You never did.
We didn't see a Fight Club bracket system.
Yeah.
You know how the brackets work in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
It's Johnny Cage versus Sonya, then Johnny Cage versus Kano, then Johnny Cage versus Scorpion, then Johnny Cage versus Raiden, then Johnny Cage versus Johnny Cage, then Johnny Cage versus two guys at once.
Is this Johnny Combat or Mortal Kombat?
Exactly.
And I'm a Johnny Cage fan.
Where's the mirror match in all this?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, they don't do mirror matches in the movies. At least not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
But okay, so I think that everything that happened after that really was the tournament. That was my understanding. And I feel like anything that follows, if there's a sequel to this movie, I kind of hope there is. I really hope there is.
Yeah, I do too. I really want a sequel in the worst way. Not just that. I want a spin-off series.
Oh, what do you think about this? We almost skipped this part. Goro fights in his shed. That's no tournament.
Yeah.
You think, yeah, well, maybe Goro's fight doesn't... No, I think Goro's fight counts. I don't think it matters where it is. Remember what Shang Tsung says in the 1995 film? You know, Mortal Kombat continues. I'm simply changing the place.
Yes, but that's after the tournament has officially begun.
I know. I get it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I think it's the same situation. He's just changing the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it counts. To me, all those fights count as the Mortal Kombat tournament. I mean, Goro got killed here by Cole Young. This is, again, my problem with Cole Young. I don't think he's earned it. I don't think he has a chance to... I don't think he needs to be involved with the guy to be killing Goro. I don't think he needs to be the guy involved with the Scorpion and Sub-Zero fight. If you said, like you said, we need a window into Mortal Kombat and we need a guy to understand that world and to help the casual viewer understand it, okay.
But you got to kind of build up that character so he's not a complete punching bag.
Well, you know what? His job now is just kind of to recruit the next guys. That's kind of where we leave it at the end of the movie.
And it feels like he's not going to... And that's why I feel like he's not going to be as pushed as hard as he was in this film.
I just think that for someone like Cole Young, the new character, right? He probably shouldn't have had as prominent a role as he did. I think that hurt the writers, and I think that hurt the movie because I think it made people like him a little bit less.
Maybe.
I don't think the new guy has earned the right to do all that.
Let me ask you this.
It's a toss-up. There's a lot of fans that think it did, and then there's fans there's a lot of guys like me that liked how they
in the
portrayed it.
sequel, when you have the tournament, who do you think is going to win the tournament? Will it be Liu Kang?
It's going to be Liu Kang.
Or will it be Cole Young?
I think it's going to be... I think they're not going to let Cole Young win the tournament, for sure. I think it'll be Liu. I think you know, and here's the other thing. When you see, like, the Marvel movies, sometimes in the event, like, one Marvel movie, they'll push one character a little harder than the others, right?
Yeah.
And then in the sequel, they'll push a different character or a different situation a little harder. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they do with the Mortal Kombat universe. I think they're going to push and focus on other characters in the sequel and kind of have them be the main guy, so to speak. And I like I said, I firmly think, in my opinion, that they're going to push Liu Kang to be the main hero in the second film. And I think you're going to see a lot more Johnny Cage. And I think, you know, everyone else is going to kind of be the shadow for Liu Kang in the next one. But I think Ludi Lin is a good actor that can really take Liu Kang through that process and be the hero. I think he's a great fit.
Well, if they do continue this, and if that doesn't count as a tournament, if they need to do a tournament in the next movie, then yeah, I hope they make Liu Kang the winner, because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
What do you think overall about Jax? Because we kind of glossed over this. Okay, Jax, his arms, when they initially gave it to him, weren't like the ones that we saw in the game. They were smaller, weaker. Kano was kind of mocking him for that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Jax got his arcana that he then sort of merged with his arms, or his original arms kind of took over, and he made these tech arms work for him. His arcana helped him interface better with the tech, if you will. I thought that was kind of, the arms looked good at that point.
Yeah.
But I do have a big gripe. And look, I don't care if they stick to every single lore point, but honest to God, those arms are Special Forces tech. They always have been. They always will be. It just makes sense. I don't like this idea of, the monks at Raiden's temple, Liu Kang's fellow monks are searching the realms for a solution and getting this high-tech arms for Jax.
Sourcing the realms.
What do they care?
They're sourcing the realms. That's the quote.
Right.
That's the quote.
But you think they don't have that kind of tech in other realms? You think Order Realm doesn't have that kind of technology?
No.
Realm?
I think what sets Earthrealm
Maybe
apart.
they got it from Wakanda. Oh, that's the wrong franchise.
Wrong franchise.
Wrong franchise. No, I think what sets Earthrealm apart in the Mortal Kombat mythos is that we're the most high-tech realm.
Right.
We kind of... Other realms sort of figured out magic.
Maybe.
We have less magic compared to other realms. We're the most high-tech realm. In fact, Earthrealm in Mortal Kombat is more high-tech than we are in the real world.
Yeah.
So, Special Forces, they're always supposed to be the driving force behind Jax's arms. I didn't like that it had to come from somewhere else, and I don't see why it had to. I don't see why Sonya didn't radio for help like she would and get it done the right way for him.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know the Special Forces? Because the Special Forces at that time period with Jax's arms were also following other realms and following Outworld. How do you know they didn't get that tech from other realms just like the monks did? I'm just putting that out there. How do you know?
They could say whatever they want, but since they hadn't said that, I wouldn't buy that. I wouldn't buy that theory at all.
Hey, did we give Raiden his segment?
Yeah.
Raiden. Okay, so look,
Raiden.
Good point.
And this segue is nice. What we were just talking about with Jax. Raiden has some tech. Raiden and his monks, they clearly have something, because his lightning power.
Yeah.
He was able. You could see this device back behind him, and it was like, whoa, what is that thing? It almost looks like a Tesla coil. Almost looks like some kind of scientific-y thing.
Yeah.
Only Raiden's electricity can kind of power it. Mm-hmm. And when it does, it creates this lightning force field that the bad guys can't go through.
Right.
It was kind of cool. Yeah. That I could believe that the monks would construct, and I bet it would have taken them a long time. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me. I liked it. I like that whole system. Mm-hmm. He just basically powers the thing up with his tech and his superpowers. It was such a cool blend.
Yeah.
And kind of a lot of the characters, right? And Raiden had a Chinese accent. He was played by an Asian guy in this film. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought this was a very powerful Raiden.
I liked Raiden. I liked the fact that his eyes glowed consistently.
They looked cool.
He looked intimidating. He didn't sound like Clueless Raiden that we get in the games since MK9. He wasn't like bumbling and fumbling. And
Agent Pikachu says Raiden is still the god of useless. I disagree. I thought this Raiden was competent.
He was very competent. I feel like the Raiden in this movie I feel like he was like a stricter teacher.
He was. And you know what? I felt like he knew what he needed to say in order to get the best out of the Earthrealm fighters.
Yeah, he was
when he talked disparagingly to them.
Yeah.
It kind of motivated them to want to prove him wrong. Yeah. I feel like Raiden knew what he was doing. I feel like he knew how he had to talk to them, and I feel like he kind of knew what he had to say in order to help the good guys win and help them through the adventure.
Yeah, I thought Raiden was very well done. I love the fact that he felt more intimidating, and it was
the other gods here who were too lazy to help. Raiden was actually the best one of them all, I think.
And I loved Christopher Lambert's take on the character, making him a little more of the comic relief in situations.
It was fun in that film.
But I feel like Raiden shouldn't be the guy to be comic relief in the series. I feel like you can leave that to Kano or Johnny or somebody else.
Yeah.
I thought Raiden was, in his role, very, very strong. I felt he was very well written. I think he was very well played by the actor. And he had this sense of authority, this sense of, I'm in charge. These are my fighters. I'm responsible for them. I think that the actor crushed it, and I also like the fact that we saw Raiden actually get to not fully throw down, but showcase what he can do. Not just with a force field scene, but at the end where Shang Tsung's like, trying to get to him after that Sub-Zero fight, and he just zaps him. Says, that guy talks too much.
Says return to Outworld.
Yeah. You know, and he had a little bit of comic relief, but it was at the appropriate time when Raiden had already trusted and was impressed and knew he had the core group of fighters that he wanted. And that's what I think you want from a Raiden right there. I think that was a very well-written Raiden. I liked it. I liked it better. And I liked Christopher Lambert, but I liked this Raiden a little bit better.
Yeah.
I really did.
Yeah. All right. Well, my final thoughts on it were, because people are talking about the Arcana.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the dude reviews. He didn't care for the Arcana explanation at all. I honestly thought it worked in this film. I thought it was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it fit the tone. I thought it fit the movie. It had its own internal logic. I liked it. I could roll with it. Wouldn't want it for the games. Liked it for the film.
Yeah.
I do wish it had been incorporated just a little bit differently. I wish they had stuck to Kano's original metal faceplate. I think he's, they give him like an injury for his eye. I think it would have been better if they had a metal faceplate. He didn't necessarily need an Arcana to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird having the eye laser be organic. People liked Sonya's ring toss being from her. People like that kind of being her inner power, her Arcana, if you will. Yeah. So they could have made Kano's a little bit more like Jax's.
Yeah.
Right? Where it was, okay, your Arcana is that you allow you to kind of interface with your tech.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah. But, I mean, we don't know if Kano's fully dead, based on our theory with Cabal maybe losing his tattoo.
It was an eye injury. Of all the things, it was the freaking garden gnome right in the eye. He might need a faceplate if there's a sequel.
That would make sense.
And Kano was such a good character. Like, I don't really want him to be dead.
I don't think they're going to bring Kano back in the next sequel, but in the third movie, that's a guy that could make a surprise return.
If he is in the sequel, maybe he should just be chained up in the background. And
yeah. But no, I mean, I think that they're saving that. And the reason I say that is after Sub-Zero is killed, after Goro is killed, remember when Shang Tsung says, death is but a portal.
Yeah.
Right? And then you see all the black smoke consume Bihan's body, and he disappears.
Bihan started looking like Noob at the end. I thought that was another great deep cut.
Yeah, and then you saw the black smoke consume Goro's body. So is Goro really dead? I mean, his body was taken by the smoke, so how do we know that Shang Tsung isn't going to repair his fighters and have them make another appearance?
I kind of hope that dead characters stay dead in this franchise.
I mean, it's Mortal Kombat. Even in the game history and the game lore, guys, nobody stays dead. Nobody.
I'm hoping that dead characters stay dead, except for Kano, because it's just not going to be. I don't know. He brought so much to this film. I thought he really. I thought he made it really good. Even people who don't like the movie say, "Okay, but I like the Kano scenes."
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Like he really helped bring it. I guess we're kind of near the end of the film. We kind of talked about sequels already. I think we talked about characters. Is there anything else any thoughts that you guys have that you want to bring up?
I just want to, we saw it in IMAX.
Yeah.
In a theater. Granted, I know some people watching the stream can't do that for whatever reason.
Sure.
But I mean, if you're able and safely get a second viewing, it was just so cool. Just to have the crowd. The crowd was just so into it, and we're just in this random town in Indiana.
Yeah.
Right?
Little Schererville, Indiana.
People were cheering. They were getting the references. People were clapping at the end. I mean,
they were loving it. It is fun to be... Look, I haven't seen a movie in over a year in the theaters. And this was a great one. I had to make an exception for this one. This was the best way to see it.
I think it's easy to be critical on the movie. And the longer you think about it, the more critical things you can pick out. But with the energy of the theater...
You can be critical on MK11. How many people are critical on that?
I'm easily persuaded by others. So when the crowd is pumped...
No, you're not. Don't say that.
But when the crowd is pumped, they're excited. I walked out of the movie this is awesome!
Yeah.
And then I got on social media, I'm reading, two
all the
sides
people
of the
that
coin.
find every little detail wrong with
I'm
MK.
Then
Welcome
I'm
to Twitter.
questioning myself.
Yeah.
I think I had a really good evening, did I?
Yeah, no, you did. You had a baller evening, and I'll tell you what, I have watched.
I had so much fun.
Oh, dude, I have watched so many big movies in IMAX and in theaters in that theater. I have seen the debut for Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and if you've seen Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, that whole movie from the very start to finish is a roller coaster ride. There were only 2 pop-offs where the crowd got excited in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, in a theater that was much more full than what ours was because of the COVID regulations, because that was pre-COVID, okay? So this movie, I lost track of all the laughs, the claps, the cheers. People love this movie.
Yeah, there was no downtime.
No.
I wonder too, and I can't remember if Justin was you or Ryan, but like, maybe like you have a different reaction from watching it on HBO Max, like by yourself.
Yeah, it's not the same.
You're there, you're kind of analyzing it a little bit more.
I do think that if you watch it in a theater and you watch it on your phone, it changes the experience. It's going to change the way you read the film. That's just human nature. That is every movie. That's universal. Yeah. All right, so I do want to end it with 2 questions for both of you guys. Mm-hmm. All right, what score do you give it?
I give it an 8. I think there were things they could have done better.
Percentage, what do you give it?
I'd give it an 85%.
85%. What do you give it?
Let me think this through. I still think I had to think hard about this, but I like the original movie.
Yep.
From 95 the best. I like it more. I'd say a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. That was my other question, was going to be, which one do you like better? 2021 or 1995? As of this moment, obviously you can change your mind later, but what do you think right now? Where are you at?
I'm going to say 2021 movie just because it's a fresh new take.
Yeah.
It's a fresh...
The novelty is so cool. It might wear off later, but right now you're just sucked into the hype a little bit.
At the time the 95 movie was King of the World, nothing is ever going to unseat it, and for its very special reasons of following every little lore thing to a T, the 95 movie was great. But you got to keep in mind, 95, how much Mortal Kombat stuff did we have in that time? That was when Mortal Kombat was still building as a franchise on its own. Now Mortal Kombat's been around for 25 years. Like, we've heard the same story, the same thing. I mean, they went through the same storyline over and over again.
I still can't figure out where I land with this one. I mean,
I think it's time for a new take, man, and I think that Greg Russo did a phenomenal job giving it.
We are ready for the new take.
I think the younger generation of fans, though, I think they might score it higher
than the old one. They might think the older movies
we really appreciate the older 95 movie, but
absolutely.
If you're new to the franchise, you watch that 95 movie, you're not going to get it like we get it. It might be too campy for them. They might just think this is silly. What is this? You know?
It's got that 90s kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Which the 90s was
what we
cheesy.
grew up with.
Yeah, the 90s was bleach blonde haircuts and hot pink tank tops.
I want to say I enjoy both movies just as much as each other. I want to say that they're a tie.
Yeah.
But, however, I can't really think of anything that I would change about the 1995 movie. That's reasonable. But the 2021 movie, I could think of things that would have tweaked it to make it better. So, I guess you can even if my level of satisfaction and enjoyment is the same, there's those little things at the new one, even though it's fresh in my head and I'm still riding the hype that I want to change. So it's just kind of...
One thing that could be improved, we had some conversations about this, is I feel the music.
Yeah. You know what? I actually like the new take on the original theme. I don't think it's bad, but we did talk about the music. I thought that the music during the fight scenes was a little cinematic instead of heavier hitting. Like, if you watch the 95 movie...
The music is iconic, and when you hear music, it reminds you of certain scenes.
You just had some guitar.
You don't have that here.
Yeah, like the Sonya Kano fight, it was just straight up like somebody riffing the hell out of a guitar. Yeah. You know, and like, that is what, like, and that wasn't even a good fight scene, but like that song, like when you play that song, you're like, that's the Sonya Kano fight scene. I don't
feel like there's anything in this movie that quite did
There was nothing that really popped off, except for the end credits.
Techno Syndrome, whatever, in the callbacks. But
well, I'm going to give it a 90%. I think that's where I stand. I'm
in a 90.
I do enjoy it as much as the old film, and it's just one of those things where I think I'll be able to get a lot of rewatch value out of this. I think I'll be able to replay it over and over again and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
But there are things about it that I'd like to change. It's not perfect. And
nothing ever is going to be, though, dude.
Yeah.
No one's going to make the perfect MK.
But I think... But I think...
Let alone the perfect MK.
But I think the amount of things they need to change in this... Yeah. And I don't think they're very difficult tweaks. I think honestly, if the director wanted to, like, give it another shot and make, like, I don't know, the Ed Boon cut or whatever you want to call it...
I don't think that's necessary for this.
Really?
No.
You don't think they could, like, tweak it a little bit and make, like, a ultimate Mortal Kombat?
I think that would hurt this more than anything. Look, this is a building block. This is a starting piece. For, Joe Taslim signed on for, a 4-movie deal? So if they're going to do 4 movies, this is just the building block. This is, like, the start of the foundation. They're going to build on top of this, and they'll take some of the critiques the fans have had, because Greg Russo and Todd Garner are fantastic people that are very active on Twitter. They're gonna watch all the things people don't like, as much as they might disagree with it. They're gonna sit back because they're very professional and good at what they do. They're gonna sit back and say, you know what, maybe that's a point there. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some things change in the sequel that is for the improvement and the better. But I think this was a great building block. I think that you can build sequels on this 100%. And I think that the sequels are going to be better and better and better for this movie.
Well, and I think that's the important thing. I think this was a decent, enjoyable movie. I think they can build sequels out of it. I think this has got potential to be a good franchise. You know, and I've seen that Sub-Zero has already been signed up to do more for his contract, so good for him.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we stand. I think you know where I stand on the film. I know where you guys stand on the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guys, is there anything else you wanted to add?
I want to add something. I mean, even if you don't love this movie, I think it's important that you support it. We waited 25, 26 years for a Mortal Kombat movie. Guys, we finally got one that had a nice budget, that had good acting, that had great special effects, that was given the full Marvel treatment. Like, it was given the full treatment, the full funding. I mean, this was not like a annihilation by any stretch of the means.
No, like I said, the tone for this movie is good. It's a fun film to watch, and it's got the right tone.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I think that people need to go out and support it because
They do.
we need a sequel. And all of your complaints about, oh, I don't like this or this, the directors and writers cannot address that if they aren't given a green light for the sequel. So I think you need to go and support this movie as much as you can so you can give them a chance to continue to expand on this and build on it. Because I need a sequel. I need to see Johnny Cage, man.
We need to raise one hang out.
I need to see my main. I need to see my main character.
Johnny.
I'm a Johnny Cage fan through and through. We need to see Johnny Cage. 100%.
All right, well, hey, listen. 3 guys, 3 different opinions, but we can all come together and share them with you. I see you guys in the chat also have all kinds of different opinions, so that's cool. Everybody, we're not here to change anyone's minds.
No.
Unless you're Scott-Howell and you're very easily impressionable, then we're here to change your mind.
Yeah.
Other than that, guys, seriously, thank you both for doing this with me.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Been an honor having you here.
It's been a lot of fun, man.
We'll have to do this again sometime.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you in the chat for being here. Hope you enjoyed our little run-through of the movie with the spoilers.
Yeah.
Until next time, this is Tabmock99. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
End the stream. Oh, yeah, hit that one.